Welcome to the Melchizedek Cloister Tangible Structure of the Soul, accelerated by a Spiritual Evolution Program, an application of Chelantic morphogenetic science, the science of light, sound, the subconscious symbol codes, and the base codes of matter, the science of consciousness and creation. You are listening to Lecture Tape number 6, Activating the God Seed, Reunion with Your Family of Consciousness, Connecting the Kirashe Spirals. All materials are copyrighted 1999 by Anna Hayes Gruber. In this lecture, the following topics will be discussed: the family tree of consciousness, absolute love, the monad, the God seed, and building the pillar of light. The family tree of consciousness. Every individual being in the universe exists as an intrinsic part of a greater collective of consciousness from which its being originally emerged. This multidimensional collective consciousness is known as the family of consciousness, and every individual is connected to its family of consciousness through a multidimensional family tree. Each Earth human thus has, by the nature of its existence, a family tree of consciousness, through which its identity has emerged into individuation, into its present moment space-time orientation. The family tree of consciousness spans many space-time and dimensional fields, following the intrinsic 15-dimensional structure of universal design. Within the sets of 15-dimensional matrices and their inherent sets of 3-dimensional systems, the 5 harmonic universes in each 15-dimensional matrix that form universal structure, the family tree of consciousness branches outward into each harmonic universe, creating a myriad of different individuated forms. In every human family tree of consciousness, smaller identity consciousness gestalts are formed within each of the 5 harmonic universes, creating a universal web of identity through which each individuated member retains its connection to the source of its creation beyond the dimensionalized structures of the 15-dimensional time matrices. The smaller consciousness gestalts within the 15-dimensional matrices that compose the time matrix follow specific designs of energy that are intrinsic to the energetic composition of universal and cosmic structure. Cosmic structure is designed upon wave grids, or complex patterns of energy weavings that form sets of interwoven unified fields of energy that coexist within one gestalt unified field known as the mind of God. The unified fields of energy that make up the infinite contours of the God-mind gestalt are composed first and primarily of units of consciousness of the God-mind. These units of consciousness, known scientifically as partikai, particake, and particum, group into complex geometrical patterns, forming first strings, then grids of consciousness. These grids of consciousness constitute the underlying structures or consciousness templates upon which all manifestation is built. The consciousness templates are called morphogenetic fields, and they represent conscious, living, intelligent, individuated aspects of the God-mind. Morphogenetic fields are the creative thoughts of God born into perpetual manifestation. The entire cosmic structure of the non-dimensionalized energy matrix and its inherent smaller universal constructs of the time matrix are built upon the living conscious substance of morphogenetic fields. And so the entire cosmos is conscious, alive, and aware, existing within and perpetually manifesting as expressions of the eternal God-mind. The units of consciousness of God, the partikai, particake, and particum, upon which morphogenetic fields are built, form the first building blocks upon which the subparticles, particles, and antiparticles of matter, prematter, and antimatter radiation manifest, and thus all matter forms, from the microcosm to the macrocosm, are intrinsically composed of the substance of God. Within the infinite contours of cosmic structure, uncountable smaller structures of creation are formed. The multidimensional family tree of consciousness, through which human consciousness and other forms of identity receive individuation while retaining their God connection, exists as a structure of ordered consciousness within the greater structures of creation. The family tree of consciousness, like cosmic structure, is built upon conscious morphogenetic fields that span the micro and macrocosmic contours of the time and energy matrices. The multidimensional morphogenetic field of the family tree of consciousness can be understood as a template of identity through which the human body and consciousness are directly connected to the God mind. There can be no real separation between the individual and the God mind, for the morphogenetic template of identity upon which the individual consciousness manifests exists as an intrinsic part of the cosmic identity structure, and both the individual and the cosmos exist eternally within the God mind. So then, the process of spiritual advancement to attain at-one-ment with God is not a process of recreating a condition that once existed in the beginning and then was lost. Rather, it is a process of progressively expanding one's individual awareness, both outward and inward, beyond the boundaries of personality individuation to encompass the totality of the ever-present God mind. The journey toward at-one-ment with God, which is described as atonement in traditional religious writings, is a process of expanding into the cognition of I am God, knowing the self as a living expression of this infinite consciousness, knowing the self as an eternal collective of consciousness within which no real separation exists between God and its infinite manifestations. When one expands to encompass the knowing that I am God, one simultaneously understands that all is God, and therefore does not place the personal individuated identity as above or superior to any other manifestation of the God mind. Humility and reverence for all life, not illusions of personal grandeur, are the result of knowing oneself as the I am presence in complete at-one-ment with God. At-one-ment and absolute love. Through the condition of at-one-ment with God, genuine love can be known. The feeling of love is a result of the condition of vibrational harmonization, or the co-resonance of consciousness between the lover and the beloved. Expansion into at-one-ment with God creates the condition of absolute harmonization between the individual consciousness and the God mind, a co-resonance of consciousness between God and the individuated manifestations of itself. In terms of felt experience, at-one-ment creates the feeling of absolute love, unconditional love, the quality of love that the God mind experiences toward all of its manifestations, with whom it eternally remains in a state of vibrational co-resonance of consciousness. All things exist within the mind of God, and so the God mind exists in a perpetual state of vibrational co-resonance, or absolute love, with all manifestations of itself. The experience of lack of love reflects the condition of non-resonance of consciousness between the individuated manifestation of God and the totality of the God mind. Non-resonance of consciousness, or vibrational disharmony between the individual mind and the God mind, can only be experienced by the individual who has yet to achieve at-one-ment with the totality of itself as a manifestation of the God mind. Personal expansion into at-one-ment, or harmonic resonance, with the God mind allows the individual to transcend all vibrational disharmonics of consciousness, to retain co-resonance with the cosmos. At-one-ment creates absolute love, and absolute love is the eternal vibrational co-resonance of consciousness that holds the structures of the cosmos together. Absolute love creates the experience of absolute joy and ecstatic fulfillment, and in human terms generates the emotional attributes of all those feelings and sensations deemed as good. All conditions of disease, conflict, pain, anguish, and suffering are the direct result and manifestation of vibrational disresonance of consciousness with the God-mind. The only absolute cure for any malady is absolute love. The reinstatement of vibrational co-resonance of consciousness between the individual and the eternal divine. Suffering is intended to show one the areas in which disharmonics of consciousness reside, and represents the attempts of the multidimensional identity to reorder its consciousness into harmonic co-resonance with the eternal God-mind. As at-one-ment with God creates absolute love, and absolute love, co-resonance of consciousness between one and the divine, creates the absolute cure for all suffering, the condition of achieving at-one-ment is most desirable if one seeks to end suffering and expand into the transcendent realities of ecstatic fulfillment. Creating the experience of at-one-ment with God is the process of progressive expansion beyond the boundaries of the personality and ego identity into the greater aspects of Gestalt identity as contained within the family tree of consciousness. A progressive realization of the self as a plural rather than singular construct. The personal identity is not lost, overtaken, or compromised within the expansion of self. It is instead itself expanded to become the Gestalt identity, just as the identity of the child expands to become the adult. As the macro and microcosm are structured upon templates of consciousness, morphogenetic fields, it is most helpful to understand these basic structures of consciousness if one seeks to achieve at-one-ment with God. Through understanding the structures of God consciousness upon which the individual and the cosmos is built, an individual can begin to grasp and apply the specific mechanics of conscious energy through which at-one-ment is achieved. Comprehending the structure of multidimensional identity and the family tree of consciousness out of which each individual emerges provides a conceptual roadmap to the destination of ultimate at-one-ment with God. For this reason, the God-mind makes available to its individuated manifestations in time the knowledge of morphogenetic field structure, so the individual may consciously co-create its experience of evolution and expansion into at-one-ment. Templates of consciousness, the Hoover bodies. The morphogenetic field, or template of consciousness, of the family tree of consciousness for each human individual is a 15-dimensional structure of energetic substance composed of units of consciousness, partikai, partike, and particum. There is a set pattern of organization inherent to this structure, which corresponds to the greater universal morphogenetic fields of which the time matrix is composed. Multidimensional human identity possesses 5 primary structures in time. These energy identity structures are called the Uriya Hoover bodies, and one Uriya Hoover body corresponds directly to and exists within one of the 5 harmonic universe structures of one 15-dimensional time matrix. As each harmonic universe is composed of 3-dimensional fields, each Uriya Hoover body is thus structured upon the 3 templates of consciousness, or morphogenetic wave grids, characteristic to the harmonic universe within which the Uriya Hoover body is stationed. Each of the 5 Ariyahuva bodies of human consciousness construction represent energy forms, or templates of geometrically arranged energy, which hold the instructional program and underlying intelligence upon which the matter form and identity will manifest within its respective harmonic universe. The 3-dimensional Ariyahuva bodies are morphogenetic fields that are constructed upon units of consciousness, Partakai, Partake, and Partakam, which take the form of templates of crystallized or frozen sound. Through the process of the consciousness moving through the unified energy fields of each harmonic universe, these particles of frozen sound are stimulated into vibrational movement. This stimulation of crystallized sound patterns transforms the original crystalline sound into a living pattern of conscious awareness that takes the form of a fixed standing wave pattern known as a scalar wave. Each Ariyahuva body is thus a scalar field or scalar grid, a field of fixed standing scalar waves which is built upon a conscious morphogenetic template of sound. As consciousness moves itself or evolves through the 5 harmonic universes of a 15-dimensional matrix, it progressively stimulates into life the scalar grids of the Ariyahuva bodies, bringing into activation and manifest expression progressively more portions of its family tree of consciousness. The process of expanding the personality into at-one-ment with God by progressively expanding the identity to include the family tree of consciousness has its equivalent action in terms of interdimensional electromagnetic dynamics. At-one-ment energetically represents the progressive activation of the scalar grids that compose the Ariyahuva bodies within which the consciousness of the family tree resides. Understanding the simple structures of the Huva bodies and the greater morphogenetic construction within which they exist makes the process of achieving at-one-ment comprehensible. Though there are many complex multidimensional mechanics involved within the operations of consciousness and the Huva bodies, it is enough to understand the basic existence of the Huva body structures, for with this knowledge one can take an active hand in the personal evolutionary process. The Ariyahuva bodies of the 5 harmonic universes hold the levels of identity that are known as the incarnate in harmonic universe 1, dimensions 1, 2, and 3, the soul in harmonic universe 2, dimensions 4, 5, and 6, the oversoul in harmonic universe 3, dimensions 7, 8, and 9, the avatar or Christed identity in harmonic universe 4, dimensions 10, 11, and 12, and the Rishi identity in harmonic universe 5, dimensions 13, 14, and 15. Each of these identity components represents a level of structure within the family tree of consciousness, and each represents a Gestalt identity out of which numerous individual identities emerge. As the human on earth evolves to expand its identity toward at-one-ment, each of these levels of identity progressively merge, which in energetic terms means that the morphogenetic scalar grids of the Ariyahuva bodies progressively merge. The process of Huva body merger and identity integration is the intrinsic process of human evolution through time. If one can understand that the goal of at-one-ment with God is achieved through merging the Huva bodies and identity levels, the process of achieving at-one-ment becomes clear and more easily attainable. The 5-dimensionalized Ariyahuva bodies of the human morphogenetic field exist as part of a larger morphogenetic template that includes 3 other non-dimensionalized Huva bodies, the Useta Huva bodies. The 5 Ariyahuva bodies correspond to the portions of the family tree of consciousness that are expressing within the dimensionalized fields of the time matrix. The 3 Usetahuva bodies correspond to the larger portions of the family tree that are stationed in the energy matrix within which the time matrix exists. The Usetahuva bodies represent the 3 levels of personal Gestalt identity expansion that are referred to as ascended mastery. The levels of identity in the Usetahuva bodies correspond to the 3 non-dimensionalized levels of the cosmic energy matrix: the triadic matrix, the polaric matrix, and, closest to full expansion into the God mind, the achatic matrix. The identity levels corresponding to these 3 cosmic matrices of consciousness are the geomantic entity in the triadic matrix, the Riche in the polaric matrix, and the Ekar within the achatic matrix. As an individual expands its identity toward its oneness with God, it will progressively expand through and incorporate into itself the 8 levels of Gestalt identity as held within the collective 8 Huva bodies of the family tree of consciousness. Each of these identity levels represent a crystalline morphogenetic field that becomes a progressively expanding scalar grid as the levels of identity progressively expand into integration. When viewed collectively, the 8 Huva bodies of the human family tree of consciousness represent one larger morphogenetic field made of fixed points of sound and light that is called the monad, or monadic identity imprint. The monad and the God seed. The monad is an energy form, a scalar grid, which holds the entire electrotonal design of the cosmic family tree of consciousness. It is composed of the 8 Huva bodies and the stations of consciousness contained within them. The monad exists as a Gestalt identity morphogenetic field, eternally stationed within the God seed in the God mind. The monad contains within its structure the smaller individuated morphogenetic fields for the Ekar identity and the smaller identity levels of the 8 Huva bodies. For the individual identity incarnated in time, the monad is the key to achieving at-one-ment and expansion into the God mind, and to attaining freedom from the cycles of space, time, and matter manifestation within the time matrix. The monad represents the core program of light, sound, energy, consciousness, and identity through which the original seed of consciousness and the family tree of consciousness were created. The original geometrical construction of consciousness that emanated forth from the God seed to create the 8 Huva body morphogenetic field. The monad is the singular point of unified energy identity within the Gestalt of the cosmic family tree of consciousness, and represents the individual's direct connection to the God seed and to final expansion into God. The God seed represents a core morphogenetic field out of which multiple monads, or cosmic family lines of consciousness, emerge. There are 24 primary God seed identities within the God mind. They are referred to as Uset identities. The Uset, or God seed identities, possess perpetual, eternal, cognizant at-one-ment with the God mind. Each of the 24 Uset identities creates within itself sets of 12 monads, or cosmic family lines of consciousness. Each monad creates within itself sets of 12 Ekar identities, or original seeds of consciousness, which begin the manifestation of sets of 12 universal family lines of consciousness within the energy and time matrices. The God seed, the monad, and the original seed of consciousness are interwoven, but are not the same energy constructs. Each God seed, or Uset, holds within its design the pattern for 12 monads, or cosmic family lines. Each monad, or cosmic family line, creates sets of 12 Ekar identities, universal family lines. Each seed of consciousness, or universal family line, creates family trees of consciousness within the energy and time matrices. In relation to an earth individual achieving at-one-ment with God, the dimensionalized family tree of consciousness, the non-dimensionalized Ekar identity or universal family, the monad or cosmic family, and the God seed or God family together represent a pillar of direct connection in consciousness between the God mind and all of its individuated parts. This pillar of consciousness exists as interconnected platforms of identity through which the individual progressively expands as it evolves into full at-one-ment with God. In understanding the basic structure of this cosmic hierarchy of identity, one can learn to use the individual consciousness in ways that expedite the process of evolution through expansion into at-one-ment with God. And one can more easily keep the process of evolution on its intended course. One of the fastest ways to realign personal evolution with the destination of at-one-ment with God and to accelerate the process of evolution is to bring the dormant energetic design of the monad and the God seed, morphogenetic scalar grids, to life within the earthly body and consciousness. Activating the God seed and building the pillar of light. Earlier exercises in this tape series, such as anchoring the fifth dimensional archetype and the eighth dimensional monad into the earthly incarnate of the harmonic universe one identity, is a good place to begin the process of awakening the monad and the God seed within the human individual. Anchoring the archetype and the monad frequencies of identity into incarnational embodiment prepares the physical body and consciousness for activation and active embodiment of the monadic and God seed identity. But even if these preliminary exercises are not practiced, the following exercise on side B will set the entire process in motion for the earthly incarnate. The following exercise is called Activating the God Seed, and through this process, the scalar grids of all 8 Huva bodies are stimulated into simultaneous activation, which begins a systematic realignment of the entire multidimensional identity structure with the original design of its family tree of consciousness, its monad, and its God seed. If there are distortions within the scalar grids of the Huva bodies, these will begin to purge and realign with activation of the God seed. For some individuals, realignment of the Huva bodies can take numerous subsequent incarnations. In such cases, the process of activating the God seed will align the consciousness of the earthly personality with the greater objective of evolution to at-one-ment, providing a beacon of energetic guidance from the God seed and monadic cosmic family. Through this energetic beacon of guidance, the individual can learn to consciously co-assist in the process of Huva body realignment, entering the process of conscious evolution. Activating the God seed begins the process of building the pillar of light for the earthly incarnate. The pillar of light is a morphogenetic construction of scalar grids that appears in the bioenergetic field as a progressively expanding pillar or tube of multicolored light. The pillar of light, which forms through the progressive activation, alignment, and merger of the Huva bodies, is the conduit through which the consciousness of God flows into conscious human embodiment. The full pillar of light is constructed when the 8 Huva bodies have been aligned, activated, and opened into the consciousness of the God seed. This is called God realization. To understand this evolutionary process in simple terms, one can view evolution as the progressive building of the pillar of light that connects one through the fields of time and hierarchy of identity directly into the mind and heart of God. Activating the God seed begins to build the pillar of light from the top down, the God seed down to the incarnate, progressively aligning the geometrical constructs of the monad's morphogenetic field with its original design within the God mind. As the 8 Huva bodies in the monad's scalar grid progressively align and merge with each other, the pillar of light progressively descends toward the incarnate, eventually encompassing the incarnate's body and consciousness within the hierarchy of identity. The process of remerging the personal identity with the pillar of light has been referred to as entering the fold, through which the incarnate reawakens to its direct connection with the God mind, ultimately expanding to know itself as a limitless expression of God. The Melchizedek God seed. Of the 24 eternal God seeds, or Uset identities, within the God mind, only one God seed is responsible for the entire multi-galactic human lineage. The original human lineage was manifested upon 12 monads, or cosmic families, and each of the 12 monads manifested 12 seeds of consciousness, Ekar identities, or universal families of consciousness, within the energy and time matrices. All of the dimensionalized universal and cosmic human families of consciousness manifested through one common God seed, or Uset identity. This common God family, consciousness gestalt, goes by the name of Melchizedek. In the multi-galactic scheme of universal creation, the God mind also manifests cosmic family lines through the 23 other God seeds. Many of the ancient interstellar races that entered the time matrix prior to the human families of consciousness have as their God seed a Uset identity other than the Melchizedek collective. Through the course of interstellar history, numerous families of both the Melchizedek lineage and other God seed lines encountered difficulties within their monadic imprint and found themselves unable to retain their connection to the pillar of light. Distortions within the geometrical structures of their morphogenetic fields rendered their Huva bodies unable to merge, a condition that keeps the consciousness trapped in time, unable to achieve full expansion into at-one-ment with God. Of the 24 God seeds, the Melchizedek God seed is one of the few who have kept the pillar of light unbroken through the majority of their family lines. The Melchizedek collective has thus become known as the keeper of the codes and guardians of the path of ascension for all races within the time matrix. The human Taurinaceum lineage is one of the race manifestations of the Melchizedek God seed, and it was created to serve as a vessel through which the consciousness of interstellar races trapped in time could re-evolve into at-one-ment with the God mind. Most of the beings now incarnate in human form did not originally begin their journey into time with a human imprint. Most present-day humans were originally consciousness that manifested in other than human form, emerging out of one of the other 23 God seed families. In the beginnings of human creation, these other families of consciousness were spliced into the human morphogenetic and genetic lines, so that they could re-evolve through the Melchizedek God seed. This process of splicing one family of consciousness into the morphogenetic field of another is called a host matrix transplant, and the Melchizedek God seed has served as a host matrix for the ascension of many interstellar races. Most humans possess other than human incarnational memories within their subconscious minds, and many of these other than human races were not originally part of the Melchizedek God seed families. Within the Melchizedek monads, or cosmic family lines, there thus exists two primary branches, one gestalt formed by the other God seed families who were host matrix transplanted into the Melchizedek family, and another gestalt composed of the original families of consciousness that emerged directly from the Melchizedek God seed. The original family lines of the Melchizedek God seed are referred to as the Melchizedek cloister. When an earth incarnate begins the process of activating the God seed, it calls into manifestation within its genetic code and consciousness the scalar grids of its original monad, or cosmic family, and God seed, upon which its family of consciousness originally manifested. It begins to build the pillar of light toward itself from its respective God seed. If the consciousness of the earth incarnate happens to have originated through one of the interstellar races that encountered distortion in their Huva bodies, which manifests in the biological genetic code, these areas of morphogenetic distortion will create blockages or blank spots in frequency within the pillar of light descending from the God seed. Such blockages can take many incarnational cycles to correct, and it is quite difficult to do so consciously from the incarnate level of awareness. Activating the God seed in cases of monad distortion is still desirable, but it is incomplete in terms of fulfilling the promise of ascension into at-one-ment with the God mind. Because it is difficult from the earth-human perspective to determine the level of higher dimensional Huva body distortion and to identify the original God seed family tree, the practice of Melchizedek cloister ordination is often used to assist the incarnate in building the pillar of light. The Melchizedek cloister ordination accomplishes activation of the original God seed, but also serves to splice the incarnate's consciousness and 8 Huva bodies into the Melchizedek cloister God seed. The God seed Melchizedek then serves to realign any blockages in the pillar of light, holding the integrity of the Huva bodies intact until all distortions can be realigned within the monad of the original God seed identity. The practice of Melchizedek cloister ordination can spare the earth incarnate many millennia of repeated incarnational cycles in the lower dimensional universes, providing for the incarnate a rapid path of ascension and return to at-one-ment with the God mind. The decision of the incarnate to accept Melchizedek cloister ordination helps the entire multidimensional identity gestalt to expedite its process of ascension, and thus all of the 24 God seed U-set identities encourage the process of Melchizedek cloister ordination for earthly incarnates. If the hierarchy of identity and Huva body structures of an individual's family tree of consciousness are aligned to properly build the pillar of light from its respective God seed, then the Melchizedek cloister ordination simply serves to accelerate the natural process of ascension through the organic monad and God seed. But if the integrity of the pillar of light between the incarnate and the God seed is compromised through monad distortions, the Melchizedek cloister ordination serves as a lifeline to ascension for the incarnate in its hierarchy of identity. The following exercise of activating the God seed begins the process of building the pillar of light between the incarnate and its organic God seed, a practice that will accelerate expansion into higher identity levels and expedite Huva body merging. It will not, however, automatically realign distortions within the higher Huva bodies for rapid ascension into at-one-ment to take place. Subsequent cycles of incarnation are usually necessary for monadic realignment within the God seed. To ensure rapid realignment of monadic distortions and to expedite the process of building the pillar of light for personal ascension, it is recommended by all God seed families to accept the opportunity of Melchizedek cloister ordination. However, this exercise will assist you in advancing your spiritual evolution, whether or not you choose to accept the assistance of the Melchizedek cloister. Though some of the subjects addressed in this lecture may seem complex and confusing to many people, especially those who are as yet unfamiliar with the greater teachings of the Melchizedek cloister, the following exercise of activating the God seed is not difficult. This exercise will achieve the same objective of opening the connections between the individual consciousness and the God mind, regardless of whether or not the personality comprehends the precise dynamics involved. In simple terms, the practice of activating the God seed creates a progressive return to absolute love and ecstatic fulfillment, an expansion of personal consciousness towards harmonious vibrational co-resonance between the human consciousness and the heart-mind of God. Technique number 6, activating the God seed of Melchizedek Cloister, tangible structure of the soul, accelerated by a spiritual evolution program. Sit comfortably in a relaxed position and loosen any tight clothing. With eyes closed, take several slow, deep breaths, then consciously slow the rate of your breathing a bit more. Clear your mind of all thoughts unrelated to this exercise. With eyes closed, imagine and visualize a crimson red spark of light positioned at the base of the spine, deep within the bone of the tailbone. Breathe slowly and deeply for a few moments, holding the image of the crimson spark in the tailbone clearly in your mind. On each inhale, imagine that you are drawing energy along with air from the atmosphere around you, inhaling the energy air directly into the crimson spark in the tailbone. On each exhale, push the energy air gently through the crimson spark, expanding it outside of the crimson spark to form a crimson band of energy around the crimson spark of light. After several breaths of charging the crimson spark with energy air, you will notice that the crimson band of energy surrounding the crimson spark has taken on the shape of a bright crimson ring of light. Continue breathing slowly. Now, visualize the image of a gold spark of light in the center of the crimson ring, where the crimson spark had been, within the tailbone. Continue breathing slowly and inhale energy air into the gold spark of light at the center of the crimson ring. On each exhale, gently push the energy air through the gold spark, expanding it outside of the crimson ring to form a gold band of energy around the crimson ring. After several breaths of charging the gold spark with energy, you will notice that the gold band has taken on the shape of a bright gold ring within which the crimson ring and the gold spark are stationed. Breathe slowly while holding in mind the image of the gold ring of light with the crimson ring of light within it and the gold spark of light at its center, stationed in the tailbone. Imagine now a bright blue spark of light placed over the gold spark of light within the gold and crimson rings in the tailbone. Inhale energy air into the blue spark and notice that with the first inhale, the blue spark begins to merge with the gold spark, turning the spark of light at the center of the rings into a bright emerald green spark. On the exhale, gently push the energy air through the green spark and observe as its energy is absorbed by the crimson ring. On the second inhale, continue to energize the green spark at the center with energy air. On the next exhale, gently push the energy air through the green spark and into the crimson ring. As the second breath of air, energized by the green spark, is absorbed by the crimson ring, observe as the crimson ring explodes into a brilliant violet ring of pulsating energy within the gold ring in the tailbone. Continue to breathe slowly while holding in mind the image of the gold ring with a bright violet starburst at its center, positioned in the tailbone. Mentally move the gold ring with its violet starburst up from the tailbone to the base of the spine, as if you were going to place this ring of energy around the spinal column. Breathe slowly. On each inhale, move the gold ring upward along the spinal column. On each exhale, stop the upward movement of the gold ring and gently push the violet energy from its center outward into the body cells in the area in which the gold ring on the spinal column was stopped. Observe that the spinal column below the gold ring, over which the gold ring has passed, now glows with a deep violet light. Continue breathing the gold ring up the spinal column on each inhale and stopping the movement to push out violet energy with each exhale until you have moved the gold ring all the way up the spinal column to the base of the head. Stop the movement of the gold ring at the base of the head and continue breathing. Breathe out violet energy into the base of the head with each exhale breath. With practice of this exercise, you will notice a sensation of gently rippling energy emanating through the body cells as the violet energy waves move through them. This process of imbuing the spinal rings with the breath and the appropriate light spectra sequence is called activating the Ki-Rache spirals. The Ki-Rache spirals are sometimes referred to as the Kundalini energy or the sleeping serpent at the base of the spine. Activating the Ki-Rache spirals begins the process of releasing the morphogenetic crystal seals within the body, which keep the physical body matter and consciousness phase-locked into three-dimensional space-time. With the gold ring stationed at the base of the head, use one slow, steady inhale breath to draw the gold ring from the base of the head in the rear up into the pineal gland at the center of the brain. Place the gold ring at the center of the pineal on a horizontal plane and draw several breaths, gently pushing violet energy from the gold ring into the pineal gland. After several breaths, you will notice that a white spark of energy bursts out from the pineal in response to the infusion of violet energy. This represents the first of 3 pineal crystal seals opening to allow the energies of the God Seed to enter into the body. As the first pineal seal releases with a burst of white light, you will notice a rush of crimson energy filling the pineal and the area of the brain center. Continue to breathe slowly. Now, using the inhale breath to move the gold ring upward, draw the gold ring from the pineal gland at the brain center up through the 7th crown chakra at the top of the head, then further upward into the 11th chakra, 18 inches above the head. Imagine the placement of the 11th chakra above the head as a ring of energy colored silver-black. Draw the gold ring into the silver-black 11th chakra, then stop the movement of the gold ring in the 11th chakra. Exhale the violet energy from the gold ring into the 11th chakra. Take a few slow, deep breaths, drawing energy air into the 11th chakra with each inhale and pushing violet light from the gold ring into the 11th chakra with each exhale. After a few breaths, you will notice a white spark of light bursts out of the 11th chakra and travels downward to the 7th crown chakra and into the pineal gland. As the white spark from chakra 11 enters the pineal, releasing the 2nd pineal seal, the pineal gland and brain center begin to glow with a soft gold light. Visualize soft gold light spreading throughout the brain from the pineal gland. Then imagine the gold light spreading into the eyes, then downward into the throat, then cascading gently throughout the body. Breathe slowly for a few moments, feeling a warm sensation in the body as the gold light spreads throughout the cells. Call to mind the gold ring stationed in the 11th chakra, 18 inches above the head. You will now move the gold ring to the 14th chakra, 36 inches above the head, to release the final pineal seal. Inhale and draw the gold ring vertically up from the 11th chakra and into the 14th chakra. Imagine the 14th chakra as a transparent disk of energy 36 inches above the head. Center the gold ring within the transparent disk of the 14th chakra and stop moving the gold ring. Exhale violet energy from the gold ring into the 14th chakra, taking several breaths and pushing the violet energy into the 14th chakra. After a few breaths, a white spark of light will burst from the 14th chakra and travel downward from the 14th chakra into the 11th chakra, through the 10th chakra 6 inches above the head, and into the 7th crown chakra at the top of the head, then into the pineal gland. As the white spark enters the pineal gland at the center of the brain, releasing the 3rd pineal seal, an electric blue energy fills the pineal and begins spreading throughout the brain and body. Breathe for a moment and feel a rippling sensation of energy running through the body as the blue energy moves through the body cells. Now, call to mind the image of the gold ring stationed within the transparent disk of the 14th chakra. Place the focus of your attention within the gold ring and begin to breathe in a relaxed manner. Imagine an image of the galaxies with millions of stars against a dark background. Notice that one star within the galactic image stands out as it has a bright crimson band of energy surrounding it. It is the star Mintaka within Orion's belt in the Orion star system. Mintaka is the morphogenetic field coordinate for the point of entry into the time matrix. Mintaka can also be used to exit the time matrix for return to the eternal families of consciousness within the God seed, out of which our being originally emerged. Visualize your consciousness stationed within the gold ring at the 14th chakra. Then gently move the gold ring in a spiraling motion upward toward the image of the star Mintaka. Breathe easily as you imagine your consciousness within the gold ring, merging with the crimson band of light surrounding Mintaka. As you and the gold ring merge with the crimson Mintaka band of light, imagine the sensation of your awareness and the gold ring being condensed into a minute point of pale gold light. As a point of pale gold light, you will now travel through the portals of Mintaka and out of the time matrix into vast fields of bright white light. The white light beyond Mintaka is so bright that you cannot make out any images. Only the light floods your consciousness, but it is a pleasing experience. Feel yourself drifting further upward within the fields of white light until you encounter a large disk of pale blue energy before you. The disk of pale blue light represents the monadic membrane, the last boundary between you and the God Seed identity. As a pale gold point of light, move your consciousness through the monadic membrane and into the God Seed. Feel your consciousness expanding into a starburst of pale gold light. Observe that within the God Seed, everything is a brilliant pale gold light, and feel the consciousness of the light as you reunite for the first time in this lifetime with your eternal family of light. You have come home to the God Seed. Rest for a moment within the vast frontiers of pale gold light within the God Seed. Feel the vibration of pure, unconditional love that always awaits you there. Sense the presence of your family of consciousness around you, sending you endless waves of love and wisdom, your heritage and inheritance from your eternal family of light. Observe now as several sparks of pale gold light approach you from all directions, forming a loose circle of sparks around your pale gold spark of light. Sense the identity of these light beings and know that they are members of your ancient family that know you personally and have come to lend their support and assistance to you in your journey of evolution home to Source. Feel the joy and playfulness within their being and begin to remember that you also have such a feeling of lightness and joy within the innocence of your God Seed being. Telepathically communicate anything you would like to say to these members of your family. Ask them to help you feel connected to them in your earthly life so that you can feel confident and supported in your growth. Feel the return of their answers and unconditional love and support radiate towards you on beams of light that carry direct cognition. Know that these eternal beings of identity, beyond the illusions of time, will be there to guide you, protect, and support you as you move forward in time. Allow the joyful emotions of this family reunion to move through you as a final release of fear and confusion as you emerge from the darkness of forgetting into the light of knowing your eternal divine essence. Know that one day, when you have achieved full dimensional ascension and ascended mastery, you too will become one of these eternal beings of light within the God Seed. One day, you will rejoin your ancient family to take your place among them, and all that you have forgotten on earth will become known. One day, you will remember that you have always been among your family in the God Seed. A part of you, your eternal essence, never left them, and that you had only forgotten this when the veils of darkness shrouded your consciousness as you entered the dimensional realities of the time matrix. Telepathically thank your family of light for their love, encouragement, and support. Say goodbye to your family with joy, knowing that you will now take the memory of them back with you into your earthly life. If you desire, one of the light beings in your family will offer to travel with you, sending a portion of its consciousness back with you into time to assist you and guide you in your most joyful expression on earth. If you desire this companion to join you, request this and observe as one of the pale gold sparks of light beings moves towards you and merges with your pale gold spark of energy. This being will send a portion of its identity into time with you to serve as your personal guardian angel. You may later develop the ability to consciously channel communications from this guardian angel to help gently assist you in your earthly affairs. The identities of light beings within the God Seed are part of your own identity as a gestalt of consciousness, so your communications with the God Seed always hold your best interests and most joyful path of evolution at heart. The God Seed family can be trusted as a source of inspiration and guidance, and the stronger the connection you build to the God Seed, the clearer its communications and guidance will become. If you desire to take an extra portion of your God Seed identity with you in the form of a guardian angel, ask now for a name or symbol to be given that represents this identity, so it will be easier for you to make conscious contact when you have entered your physical station of consciousness. Even if you do not perceive a name or symbol, it will be given, and you will discover this later spontaneously in your daily life. Before returning to your earthly perspective, inhale and draw pale gold energy from the God Seed towards you and into your pale gold spark of light self. Then exhale and project the God Seed energy from within your spark out around you, forming an egg of pale gold energy around your pale gold spark of light self. Feel the reality of this golden egg around you, and as you prepare to descend your consciousness back through Mintaka and into your physical body, feel the sensation of the golden egg. It will be your vehicle of transit back into your body and station of awareness on Earth. Feel now a sensation of gentle downward magnetic pull upon your golden egg as the spirals of entry into the time matrix call you back to your physical body. Inhale God Seed energy again, and as the downward spiral begins to take you backward through the pale blue disk of the monadic membrane, then exhale the God Seed energy into a point of bright gold light within the center of your pale gold spark of light. As you descend back through the monadic membrane, visualize a strong line or cable of bright golden light connecting you to the God Seed. You will bring this golden cable of God Seed energy back into the body with you to begin building and strengthening your conscious connection to the God Seed. Feel yourself drawing the golden cable of light from the God Seed as your golden egg moves downward through the Mintaka portals to the transparent disk of the 14th chakra, through the silver-black ring of the 11th chakra, then into the violet-white gold rays of light that emanate from the 7th crown chakra. Draw the God Seed golden cable down into the body, into the pineal gland at the center of the brain, into the 4th heart chakra, the 3rd solar plexus chakra, the 2nd sacral chakra. Then bring the golden cable to rest within the tailbone at the base of the spine. Now, visualize the end of the golden cable that has been connected to your pale gold spark of light self. Leaving the spark of light vehicle at the end of the cable, imagine that you are wrapping the golden cable gently but firmly around the base of your spinal column, forming 3 golden spirals of energy wrapped securely at the base of the spine. Continue to hold in mind the image of the golden cable with the spark at the end. Visualize the golden cable moving downward still from its position within the spirals at the base of the spine, then into the 1st base chakra, then down between your legs to the 12th chakra, 6 inches below your feet. Continue to move the golden cable downward and into the 13th chakra at the Earth's core. Once the spark at the end of the golden cable is stationed within the Earth's core, imagine that a small white vortex of energy opens up within the Earth's core and draws the spark and the golden cable into itself. The white vortex of energy then closes, holding your golden cable to the God seed firmly planted within the Earth's morphogenetic field. Your personal connection to the God seed, your original and eternal family of consciousness, has now been officially established. Now inhale and move your consciousness upward from the Earth's core, up your main vertical current that runs through the center of your body and to the pineal gland at the center of the brain. Observe for a moment that the golden egg of light, which had surrounded your consciousness during your return from the God seed, is now firmly stationed within your auric field, about 10 to 12 inches out from the body. Your body and earthly consciousness are now stationed within the protective golden egg of light, surrounded by the energies of your God seed. As you go about your days, hold in mind the image of your golden egg surrounding your body in all that you do. If the golden egg appears to grow faint, then use your inhale breath to draw more energy air into the egg until it returns to its usual brilliance. Use your exhale breath to project that energy into the egg. Inhale and draw in energy from the atmosphere, and then exhale, moving that energy in to strengthen the form of your golden egg of light. Each morning upon waking, visualize your golden cable of energy connected to the God seed through the Orion star Mintaka. Visualize the golden cable running down through your body and out, firmly rooted in the Earth's core. If the golden cable appears faint or broken, use this exercise again to re-establish your God seed connection. Prior to sleep, visualize your body placed securely within the protective field of your golden egg of light. With practice, the golden cable and the golden egg of light will remain bright and clear within your bioenergetic field. Eventually, you will learn to open the lines of conscious communication between your guardian angel from the God seed, and you can learn many powerful techniques of using the golden egg and cable for personal and planetary healing. If you have difficulty in visualizing and cannot see inner images at this time, this ability will come the more you entertain the thoughts involved with this exercise. When you visualize, simply imagine that what we are speaking of is there, and even if you don't see it, know that you have cast into the morphogenetic field an energy pattern that will register as if you had been able to perceive this visualization as a visual image within your mind. Eventually, the visual images will come. This exercise can be used as frequently as you desire. Each use further strengthens your connection to the God seed and progressively accelerates your process of biospiritual evolution. The God seed connection offers you the opportunity to receive guidance from the God seed. It also creates a protective barrier of ultra-high frequency multidimensional energy within the multiple levels of the bioenergetic field and subtle body anatomy. Through your connection to the God seed, you will begin to understand your place within the universe and the purposes for which you came to Earth in your present incarnation. You will eventually feel the peace and joy of carrying your connection to God with you wherever you go, through which all places can feel like home, because your home is now perpetually with you in the form of your God seed connection. While you are still in this state of relaxation, we will now offer an affirmation exercise that is called the I Am Prayer. This prayer will assist in accelerating the activation of the DNA strands to create a pure and rapid connection between the multidimensional levels of identity in the God Seed. I am a child of the Original One. I am a ray of the Original Sun. I am wholeness. I am love. I am the truth that spans the sands of time. I am the rainbow of the very first shine. I am music. I am light. Let the light descend upon me, guide the way with golden light. No other God will stand before me as I embrace the one true life I was born to live by the will of the Original One. I am the face of the Original God. I am a voice of the Original Sound. I am a wave upon the ocean of eternal light. I reach my arms up to the heavens and say, I am that I am. The presence of the Ancient One springs forth at my command. I am one with God. I am that I am. And so it is.